Hello YouTube, it's the scientist once again. Just wanted to do another discussion as usual. This time I want to do one of my favorite topics, music. So I would like to start this discussion out with a quote by Victor Hugo. The quote goes, "Music expresses that which cannot be said, on which it is impossible to be silent." Once again, music expresses that which cannot be said, and on which it is impossible to be silent. It's one of my favorite quotes, especially since it's about one of my favorite topics. I want to go into philosophical kind of essence of what music really is. We all have our preferred tastes on music, as you can see with my posters. Some of you may hate Green Day. Some of you may hate Kurt Cobain singing. Some of you may think Pink Floyd's a bunch of potheads. And all those, it's up to your, preferences and tastes. And if you don't like them, you don't like them. I'm perfectly content with that. I don't like certain artists, and that's up to my decision. However, I don't hate what they stand for. Music is something that we hear every single day, yet we all have different perspectives and tastes on it. And I feel like that's not good. Music is something that for me, music is a type of poetry. Why is it poetry? Because music expresses something. It gives an idea, it gives an emotion, something that we can all understand or connect to. Music is a specific type of poetry. It's unique. Not only does it use rhythm and structure as poetry does, but it uses sound. Now, poetry uses language and it plays on language. Music uses sound. Just a bass, a guitar, piano, a flute, even drums. It can be any type of instrument that produces sound. An artist uses this sound to express their thought and emotions that we can connect to. Music has been here since the dawn of man. Throughout cultures, music has been used to express religion, traditions, that culture. It started out with percussions, drums mostly, maybe some wind instruments, but just as society has evolved, so has music. We can see the progression of very primitive instruments with drums, very crude flutes, to very complex instruments that we have today, like guitars and pianos, brass instruments, reed. We have a whole categories of music. Even with the progression of music, we can see that different parts of history is defined by music. We have Baroque period, which, yes, it has painting, but there's also Baroque style of music, classical, romantic, even most history of the last century. 1920s is defined as the jazz age. 1950s, rock and roll. 1960s, acid rock. 1970s, disco. 80s, metal. 90s, grunge. It goes on and on. The style of music represents the ideals that time had. It may not be expressed through lyrics or through language, but just through the style of music. Jazz, it is very free flowing, and just as the 1920s was, they didn't have a care in the world because they were rich as they could be and do almost anything they want. If you read The Great Gatsby, it gives a great interpretation of what that is. And music expresses those ideals. Though it doesn't have lyrics, it does express through the sounds that they have. You can listen to Beethoven, who's been dead for hundreds of years. You can listen to his music and you can still feel or understand the intensity that he put within his music. It's something that not only lives on, but we can all feel. This is what I believe separates us from animals, is that humanity has the ability of empathy. We can understand each other. Doesn't matter if we experience through it or we have experienced what others have gone through, but just in various ways. Music is just a tool that we use to express universal emotions that we can feel: love, sadness, happiness. Even though we haven't felt a love for someone, or we haven't felt happiness from a pet, or anything, we can still understand or tap into our emotions to empathize with that person. That's what is great about music, is that doesn't matter what culture, what aspect of ideology, or what part of the world you live in, you can understand what that person is expressing because we universally feel for each other. Human Now, because we can understand each other through music, let me go into how. Sound. It's said that D minor is the saddest chord of all. And if you play it, it makes sense. It has a very melancholy tone to it, while G minor is the happiest of all tones. And why is that? Just that sound, we tap into our emotions, and we feel an expression of that. When I play D minor, my brain goes through that, and it feels sad. It's just something that we use to connect with our emotions. Like I said earlier, because we don't like certain genres, certain artists, doesn't mean they're not music. I I personally, I do not like dubstep or house music, and it's not one of my favorite things in the world. However, I don't say it's not music. Why? Because, as I was saying earlier, it uses different sounds to express feelings. House music makes music that makes a person want to dance. They are filled with energy and vibe and joy, and they just want to dance. Dance is another expression of emotions. So, house music puts those has that person express the feelings that's being put. That artist is making music through his feelings. He's not just pushing random buttons and just hoping for the best. He's trying to find which sounds express the idea or the music or the feelings that he wants. So there's a bunch of genres out there. There's country, there's jazz, dubstep, as I mentioned earlier. Everything. There's an infinite amount of genres. However, they all have the same objective. They all are trying to express ideas and emotions that all humanity can feel. Now, there's certain ones that we may not comprehend. We can empathize, like I'm going to say death metal, for example. We don't. Some of us may not understand that huge amount of hatred or darkness that is expressed in death metal. However, we can understand. I've been angry. I've been really angry at one point. Not to that extent, but you can still understand where that person or that artist is going through. Just as a poet writes a poem to express something, so does an artist. I'm going to keep repeating this. They both have the same objective. They just approach it in different ways. A poet uses language. He writes it down. He uses alliteration. He uses metaphors. He uses, syntax and such. While a artist uses structure of pre-chorus, chorus, lyrics, rhyme, just as a poetry does. He uses sound of different, minors and majors, or however, in music theory. This is my intake on music. You can disagree it, you can elaborate even more on it, or, comment on a couple stuff that, you may just disagree or praise. I love open criticism. I don't want to be a biased, ignorant person. I want to be as open as possible so that my mind can expand on more things. Just as I said, I don't like dubstep and house music. The reason why I don't like it is because I tried and listened to it. I listened to it. I sat down. I listened to an album. I assessed it. I liked this part. I didn't like this part. And, overall, I just did not like it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not to my taste. So if you could comment or send a video link responding to this, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great day.